Okay, I want to start with just 3 words. 3 really short, simple words that, if we're being honest, most of us spend our whole lives trying not to think about.
I will die.
I will die. Yeah. It just stops you cold, doesn't it?
It's a full stop. There's no and or but after it.
There really isn't. And I have to admit, when I saw the title of the essay we're covering today, I Will Die, by the writer and philosopher Pedro Malha, I almost didn't click.
Oh, I get that.
I had this moment of like, do I really want to go there on a Tuesday morning?
It's a perfectly normal reaction. I mean, we are pretty much hardwired to avoid that particular place.
Exactly. But I'm so glad I did. And I want to promise you, the listener, right up front, this is not going to be some grim, morbid conversation. We are not here to depress you.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all. In fact, I'd argue this is one of the most alive pieces of writing we've ever talked about. It's about the texture of what it feels like to exist.
Right. It's not about death as an event, like a heart monitor flatlining. It's about, well, let's just get into the core premise. Because Mala makes this distinction so early on, and I think it's just crucial.
The gap.
Yes, the gap between knowing you will die and realizing it.
This is it. This is the Grand Canyon of human experience he's writing about.
Yeah.
He argues that intellectually, every single person knows they're mortal. You ask anyone, are you going to live forever? And of course, they'll say no.
Of course not.
But that knowledge is it's just data. It sits in your brain next to facts, like the capital of France is Paris.
It's a fact with no weight to it.
Precisely. No gravity. So Mala's essay is about the journey that fact takes. What happens when it travels from your brain down your spine and into your body.
When it stops being a concept.
And becomes a physical sensation. And that journey from the head to the body is what we are going to try and map out today.
And he breaks it down into these distinct stages. It's almost like a roadmap of awareness. So let's start where we all live most of the time. Stage 1, the default setting.
Calls it the illusion of ongoingness.
Oh, I felt so seen reading this part. He describes the most ordinary stuff, waking up, making tea, standing at the sink, scrolling through messages on your phone.
And in all of those moments, the body just behaves as if continuation is the only option.
It really does.
Think about walking. When you take a step, do you consciously worry that the floor might not be there to meet your foot?
Never, not once.
You trust the momentum. And Mala says our relationship with time is exactly the same. We just lean into the next moment with total confidence.
I was looking at my calendar while reading this. I have things scheduled for next November. I didn't even blink when I put them in. I just wrote dentist 2 p.m.
You didn't write dentist 2 p.m. if I'm still here.
No, I just assumed it.
And Mala's point is that we often mistake this for optimism. We think we're being positive. But he says, no, it's not that active. It's not even denial.
Right, because denial would mean you're actively fighting the truth, and this isn't that.
Exactly. Denial takes energy.
Yeah.
This is effortless. He says it's just the body organizing itself around momentum. It's quieter. It's just the hum of the machine,
He also talks about how early adulthood is this massive reinforcement of the illusion, which feels a bit counterintuitive.
It does, but it makes sense. Because what are you doing in your 20s and 30s? You're gathering, accumulating. A career, a home, friends. You are in a phase of expansion.
So death is something that happens to other people.
Right. He has that line about it being for parents, grandparents, and people in news report.
Abstract versions of yourself.
Yes. And even when tragedy does strike in that phase, maybe a friend passes away too young, he observes that we tend to absorb it. We mourn deeply, but we repair the whole very quickly and keep moving. The future still feels
Broadly available.
That's the phrase. So that's the baseline. That's the default setting.
Yeah.
But then the weather starts to change.
And this is the second section. This is where I really started to feel a little squirmy. He calls it the thinning of the atmosphere.
It's such a great metaphor because it's not a thunderclap. It's not an explosion. It's a slow leak.
He says the world starts rearranging itself around absence. That phrase just gave me chills. Rearranging around absence. What does that actually look like?
Well, it usually starts with external signals. The signs you're getting from the world start to change. You look at your parents, and suddenly they aren't just your parents. They're elderly people.
They move slower.
And the topics of conversation shift, right? From vacations and work to hospitals,
Yeah.
scans, medication.
And then your own generation. He mentions people your own age just disappearing from your contact list.
That's the real breach. When your peers, the people who are supposed to be on your same timeline, start getting sick, that's when the buffer really evaporates. And he uses this metaphor here that is just.
Mm.
It's probably the most terrifying image in the whole piece.
I know exactly the one you mean. The line.
The line. You feel yourself being quietly moved forward in the line.
Ugh, I hate it. It's so passive. You aren't even walking. You're just being shuffled.
And you can't get out of the line. The space in front of you is clearing. And this is when it starts to internalize. It starts being about them, and it starts becoming about me.
But he's so specific. You don't imagine the act of dying. You're not picturing a car crash.
No.
You imagine the absence, the world just going on without you.
Yes. And these questions start to surface.
They're so mundane, which makes them so much worse. Who will clear my things? What will they throw away? How long will they say my name?
Those questions are so heavy. But here's the crucial distinction Malha makes. He says this state isn't defined by fear. We assume it's terror.
But it's not.
He says it's defined by responsibility.
Responsibility?
Well, think about the questions. Who will clear my things? That's a logistical problem. It's about not wanting to be a burden. You start feeling the weight of your own unfinished business, the mess you might leave behind.
Wow. Okay. I never thought of it that way.
But, and this is the pivot point of the whole essay, this is all still an intellectual exercise. It's still just thoughts happening in your head.
You're still you living behind your eyes.
Exactly. You're living behind what Malha calls the internal firewall.
Okay, let's unpack this firewall idea, because at first I thought, okay, it's a computer metaphor, but he gets very biological with it.
He does. His argument is that for most of our lives, there's a disconnect, a firewall between our conscious mind, our personality, our plans, and our biology. The body is just the car we drive around.
And if it breaks down, you take it to the mechanic, the doctor.
But
But
sir-
we aren't the car.
Right. But then he says the firewall thins, and he uses this phrase that just really stuck with me. He says it thins not spiritually, but in tissue.
In tissue, what does that even mean? Is he saying our cells are changing?
I think he's saying the awareness, the ending, moves from being a thought in the brain to a sensation in the nervous system. It becomes somatic.
So our body starts to know it before your mind fully accepts it.
Or at least the body stops hiding the information. And he lists the symptoms. Colds take longer to get over. That's a signal. Fatigue carries more weight. It's not just, I need a nap. It's a deep heaviness behind the ribs.
He talks about the quiet arithmetic of waking up at 3 in the morning.
Yes. You just lie there, counting the years. 50 becomes 60, 60 becomes 70, and suddenly 70 isn't an abstract number for an old person anymore. You can feel how close it is.
There's a specific scene he describes that I really want to slow down for, because this was the moment the essay went from interesting philosophy to, oh my God, this is real.
The kitchen scene.
The kitchen scene, yeah. So he sets it up. It's late. You're the only one awake in the house. You're just standing there waiting for the kettle to boil. It's a total nothing moment.
But look at the details he focuses on. The silence of the house. The light over the sink being a little too bright, too harsh.
And the hum of the fridge.
That hum. It's always there, but you never hear it until everything else is gone. And in that moment, stripped of all your distractions, all your roles, you're just a biological entity standing in a quiet room.
He writes that you feel suddenly exposed.
Exposed. You're left alone with the bare fact of your own existence. And he says, something in you understands that this moment will not repeat.
And that's the firewall collapsing.
That is the collapse. It's the moment you realize you are not the driver of the car, you are the car. And the car has a mileage limit. And you can't think your way out of it because the knowledge is in your hands holding the mug. It's in your knees on the cold tile.
Okay. If that knowledge is in our knees, how do we not just go crazy? I mean, seriously. If you felt that all the time, you couldn't function. You couldn't answer an email.
You couldn't. And that's why we fight back. This is the next phase Malha describes. The resistance.
Which is basically everything we do in modern life.
Pretty much. We scramble to get the buffer back. We want that distance again. So we work harder. We get into arguments online. We renovate the kitchen. We fill the silence.
And the big one, of course, screens. The doom scrolling. I do this. When I get that creepy 3 a.m. feeling, the first thing I do is grab my phone. I need noise.
You're trying to flood the signal. Malha says we're trying to restore distance, to make death a concept again. But his verdict here is pretty brutal. He just says distance is no longer available.
Because it's inside the house now.
Because it's inside the tissue. Once that firewall is down, you can't really rebuild it. You can distract yourself for an hour or a day, but the quiet is always waiting for you underneath.
So where does that leave us? If you can't ignore it and
Right.
you can't fix it, do you just give up?
No. And this brings us to what I think is the most important concept in the whole essay, the destination of this journey. Malha calls it accommodation.
Okay, I really need you to help me with this word. Because normally when people talk about this, the word is acceptance, right? Like the 5 stages of grief. Acceptance is the goal. But Malha is very clear. This is not acceptance.
He's very careful. He argues that acceptance is an intellectual act. It feels like signing a contract. It's like you've looked at the terms and conditions of mortality and you've said, yes, I agree to this. This is fair.
Which nobody actually feels, I don't agree to this. It sucks.
Exactly. Acceptance implies you're okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Malha says you don't have to be okay with it. Accommodation is different. Think of it like a chronic injury, like a bad knee.
Okay.
You don't accept the bad knee.
Bye.
You don't like it. You wake up and it hurts. You might even hate it.
Yeah.
You accommodate it.
Yeah.
You learn to walk differently. You take the elevator. You shift your weight when you stand. Your body just adjusts around the reality of it.
You change your structure to make room for it.
That's it. Accommodation is somatic. It's your nervous system just getting tired of holding itself so rigid with fear.
Right.
The bracing starts to ease.
So it moves from being this blaring alarm in the foreground to just background noise.
He calls it your internal weather. It just becomes the climate you live in. You're folding laundry, and the knowledge that you will die is there, like a low-pressure system, but you're still folding the laundry.
It's integration. That's what it is.
Yes, it's the integration of the not yet into the now.
I really like that. Because acceptance feels like this impossible goal, but accommodation makes room for the fear. It just says, okay, the fear is here. Now what's for dinner?
And that leads to his final section. What life looks like after this, what changes. Because it's not some Hollywood ending where you suddenly go skydiving.
No, he says it's uneven, which I found so reassuring. Some days you're profound and some days you're just scrolling on your phone feeling nothing.
You don't become a saint.
Yeah.
But things do shift. He mentions a few things. Noise becomes harder to tolerate.
I feel that one deeply.
And this loss of interest in proving things, that ambition to show the world how smart or successful you are, it just starts to fade. Not out of depression, but because the audience feels temporary.
And love. He says love becomes more precise.
Not louder, just clearer.
There is one last image in the essay that I think just lands this whole thing perfectly. The shoe tying moment. Can you just walk us through that?
It's just beautiful. He describes watching a loved one. It could be a partner, a child tying their shoes.
Yeah.
Just this totally mundane action. They're bent forward, concentrating on the laces. They don't know you're watching.
And normally you'd just be thinking, hurry up, we're going to be late.
Right, but in this state of accommodation, you watch them, and the image just imprints on you. Because you realize this specific configuration of atoms, this person, in this light, in this moment, it's finite.
It becomes precious because it's scarce.
He says, time becomes intimate. That is the gift of the thinning firewall. When you stop assuming there is an infinite later, you actually show up for now. The moment of tying the shoe isn't a bridge to the future anymore. It is the event.
God, that's powerful. Time becomes intimate.
It stops being a resource you spend and starts being a medium you live in.
You know, we started this with those 3 scary words, I will die. And we always look for a loophole or some happy ending, but Malha is so clear there is no resolution.
No, we don't solve death. We don't transcend it, we carry it. That's the message. You carry the ending inside you, right alongside your grocery list and your passwords. It's all in the same bag.
And somehow, that's okay.
That's what it is to be human.
Yeah.
A finite creature that is aware of its own finitude.
Well, this has been heavy, but in a good way, like a philosophical weighted blanket.
I like that. We're going to use that.
So before we go, I want to leave everyone with a little experiment, something to try based on Malha's essay.
Yes. Let's bring it right into the room.
If that firewall is thinning for you, if your body is holding this knowledge, just look around you right now. Pick one ordinary thing. The tree outside your window. The coffee mug on your desk. A stranger's face on the bus.
Look at it. And try to see it with the weight of the not yet behind it. Acknowledge that you will not see this object forever, that your relationship with this tree or this mug is temporary.
Does it look different? Does it look a little sharper? Does the color seem more vivid?
Or does it just look here? And do you maybe feel a little more here with it?
Something to think about the next time you're waiting for the kettle to boil at 3 a.m.
Don't check your phone. Just listen to the fridge.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.
Take care.